Right, I guess I better do one of these videos then. Hi there everyone, how are we all doing? No, in fact, don't answer that one. I probably know we're really disgruntled at the moment, and sadly it doesn't seem like things are going to get better anytime soon. Celtic still have Neil Lennon in charge. Celtic are still struggling. I'm still apparently going bald, according to a rather disgruntled YouTube viewer yesterday. Don't worry guys and girls, it's just a haircut. It's just a haircut. I'm not actually going bald. Well, hopefully anyway. But, you know, there's bigger issues out there than my hairline at the moment. It's to do with Celtic and the fact that that man, Neil Lennon, is still in charge. I like Neil Lennon. I do like him. But at the moment, he's really, really irritating me. And the fact the Celtic board aren't taking any action is really irritating me as well. Celtic fans are waking up to these headlines, if I can sort my paper out, that Neil Lennon is being given the backing of the Celtic board. He won't be leaving. That was in the Herald. That was from Alison McConnell, who is well known to be, you know, a bit in touch with what's going. Effectively, I think she's Peter Lawwell's mouthpiece, or one of them anyway. We've also got Stephen McGowan at the Daily Mail, who was reporting the exact same. And then earlier today, just about half an hour before recording, we had the Sky Sports reporter Anthony Joseph, I nearly said Anthony Joshua there, Anthony Joseph coming out and saying that Celtic will be sticking by Neil Lennon. They still see the gap as being 5 points. We're still well in touch with Rangers. We still have 3 derby matches to go and a chance to overturn it. I would completely reject those claims from the Celtic board straight away, and I would say that rather than looking at the 3 derby matches against Rangers as an opportunity to close the gap, they're an opportunity for the gap to be widened, because right now I'm backing Rangers to win those last 3 derby matches, certainly the one at Ibrox at the start of January. That's just where we are. It's just where we are. It's really disappointing. But anyone expecting Neil Lennon to be sacked this week, you're in for a shock. You've probably already had your shock. Maybe it's not even a shock. But Neil Lennon will be in charge for the game on Thursday. And I think Neil Lennon will be in charge for the foreseeable future unless things really do go further off the cliff edge in the coming weeks. So how bad do things have to get for Neil Lennon to be sacked as Celtic boss? Well, in today's video, I'm going to take a look at the only real similar circumstances we've had in the last decade and a half at the club, and it comes in the shape of Tony Mowbray. So let's see what we can learn from that experience. But before we go on to that, I'm going to put out my usual shout for you, the viewer. If you've not yet managed to subscribe to 67 Hail Hail, why not? You really should have done it by now. I ask you pretty much every week. Maybe you're a new viewer. Maybe that's the reason. Well, if you are a new viewer, please just take a couple of minutes out of your day. Not even minutes, literally seconds. Pause the video, click subscribe, come back, enjoy the video. You'll have made me happy. You'll have made my boss happy. I may even get a bonus out of it. We'll see how it goes. But you can really help me if you like the content. We've got Jackie McNamara on as a regular guest even. We've got John McGinley, we've got David Walton, we've got a new member coming to a video later on this week. I will update you on that later in the week, but the times are good at 67 Hail Hail, even if they aren't at Celtic. We've got, I think, about a new 100 subscribers each day for the last 3 days, so they're motoring. Join them now, that's all I'm going to say. So the vast majority of fans want to see Neil Lennon going. I don't think that is, unfair to say that anymore. You only have to go on social media. Now I know that social media isn't necessarily representative of the wider Celtic support, people that may not be on the internet, etc. But the vast majority want Neil Lennon to go. So why aren't the board doing it? I've had to think of 3 potential reasons for why I think they haven't done it so far. Now, reason 1 is that they quite possibly can't get a good replacement in for him, or they don't think they can get a good replacement in for him. Now, I would suggest that reflects pretty badly on the board. But then again, they did offer Neil Lennon the job in the showers, and Peter Law went on record as saying that he quite literally didn't look at loads of applications from well-renowned managers because they thought Neil Lennon was the answer. Now, I don't know what the question was, if Neil Lennon was the answer. Anyway, reason 2, they may think that Neil Lennon can turn it around, or maybe even further to that, they think he deserves the chance to turn it around. They may look at the fact that Neil Lennon's won so many trophies for Celtic as both a player, a captain as well, obviously, and then manager, and think that he deserves a chance to turn this around. Not sure there's any room for sentiment in our 10 in a row season, but hey ho, each to their own Celtic board. And reason 3, things quite simply haven't got bad enough for Neil Lennon to be sacked. And I'm going to expand on this in this video. The only Celtic manager to have been sacked in the last 15 years or so is Tony Mowbray. I know it doesn't seem that way, but Gordon Strachan, Neil Lennon the first time, Ronnie Dyler and Brendan Rodgers, of course, all left the club of their own accord. So Celtic have only actually terminated a manager's contract once in the last, 17, 18 years, something like that. That's interesting. It was Tony Mowbray. We all know the result that did the final damage for him. It was that horrible 4-0 defeat away to St Mirren on league duty. But as much as that was a result that ended it for Tony Mowbray, he had far more of those similar results prior to losing his job eventually, and Celtic continually backed him, or certainly didn't sack him, didn't go against him, despite the failed Europa League campaign that we had, despite the defeat at Ibrox, the first game, despite losing at Ibrox again. They gave him the January transfer window. He brought in Robbie Keane. We lost to Kilmarnock in Robbie Keane's debut. We drew 4-4 at Aberdeen in a game we were 4-2 up. We didn't lose that, but it felt like a loss at the time. And also one that no one really talks about was that defeat to Hibernian 2-1 at Celtic Park a week before the Robbie Keane Kilmarnock fiasco. So it was going from bad to worse. You knew the way it was going with Tony Mowbray, but for some reason the Celtic board stuck by him until they quite literally couldn't. There was no defending him after that St Mirren game. They sacked him, and rather ironically now, they brought in Neil Lennon for his first stint as manager. So there's evidence right there that the Celtic board don't jump to rash decisions. They don't sack managers until it's probably too late. You could argue that we are only, 5 points behind Rangers if we win a couple of games in hand. For me, that's almost not the issue though. The issue for me is when you look at the performances so far this season, you realise that this isn't a blip this Celtic team are going through. This is a consistent level of performance that they're just not up to it. We've been bailed out so many times so far this season. You look back at Dundee United scoring a late goal with a Yeti, a game we were awful in and we shouldn't have won. St Johnstone, same again, we were awful, we shouldn't have won that. We scored 2 late goals through Griffiths and Klimala. You look at Riga, a game that we could quite conceivably have ended up out of Europe if it had gone to extra time and penalties. We scored a really late goal through El Yunusi. Those 3 games papered over the cracks. Then you've got the games where we didn't manage to find late goals. Kilmarnock away, an absolute disaster. Ferencváros in the Champions League, an absolute disaster. Rangers in the league, horrible disaster. You had Aberdeen draw away. You had Hibs on Saturday, and you also, obviously, the big one was Sparta Prague, the most crushing one, the 4-1 defeat at home in the Europa League. For me, losing 4-1 at home to Sparta Prague is probably every bit as bad as that St Mirren defeat. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but when you take into account it was a Sparta Prague team missing 7 or 8 players, I think, that hadn't played a league game in a month, and they came to Celtic Park and won 4-1. That was as bad as anything Mowbray offered up in his term as manager. And I'm not comparing Lennon and Mowbray. Mowbray's team was far worse. This team, I think, still beats that Mowbray team. I don't think there's a debate there. But when you're looking at the 2 managers and how they've presided over catastrophes, Lennon has just as many as Mowbray. And the big fear for me is how many more is he going to rack up before he is eventually shown the door, because it is going that way. It's inevitable for me. Neil Lennon isn't going to turn this round. It's just a case of when Celtic relieve him of his duties. If you're asking me how I think it's going to shake up, and I spoke about this in yesterday's video with John and Jackie, but I think they're going to give Neil Lennon until the Derby match. I think the fact our fixtures are easier domestically over the next wee while will mean that Celtic will pick up a bit of form. We might win all 5 of our upcoming league matches before Ibrox. We might kid ourselves on into thinking we can get a result at Ibrox, but then when it comes to Ibrox, just like he's been in, I think, 6 of the 7 last Derby matches, he will be out-thought by Steven Gerrard, he'll be out-fought by the Rangers team, and will succumb to defeat there. And then how many points are we going to be behind at that stage? 17 points, something like that, then it's too late to get a new manager in. You have missed your chance, Celtic. What do the Celtic board think could happen here? Do they think Neil Lennon is going to go on a win and run? He's going to turn this around. He's going to go to Ibrox and win at Ibrox? Maybe he does. Maybe stranger things have happened. Maybe that does happen. But I really struggle to see it. Surely we would have seen the revival by now. We should have seen it against Hibs at the weekend. We should have seen it prior to that at Pittodrie. The team just aren't up for it. They're not playing for Neil Lennon, and it's only ending one way. But the sad thing, as I've spoken about in this video, is that the Tony Mowbray example shows that Celtic will wait for it to go wrong before they make change. It's tough. You feel like you're banging your head against a wall a wee bit doing these videos. I know that the vast majority of you people in the comments agree with me, bar the guy who mocked the hair. The rest of you seem to kind of agree that time's up for Neil Lennon. I just find it hard to believe that the Celtic board can't see that. Do they feel they owe something to Neil Lennon? Is there a blind loyalty there? I don't know, but they need to make the decision. It's not going to happen, and I find myself almost in the horrible world where I'm almost hoping for like a Celtic defeat on Thursday night in the now meaningless Europa League that we can then look at and go, well, hopefully they get rid of Lennon after that. The sad reality is that I think things have to get a lot worse before Neil Lennon is sacked. And we'll see how it goes, but that's where we're at the moment.